War crimes in Syria. Boris Johnson said there should be an investigation into whether Russian airstrikes deliberately targeted a convoy carrying aid to the besieged city of Aleppo. And he's accused Russia of prolonging the war with its military support for Syria's government. The United Nations Security Council is meeting to discuss the crisis as Aleppo faces a massive new offensive. Richard Galpin reports.
For the first time in this all-out government offensive in Aleppo, ground troops have been trying to push into rebel-held areas. The Syrian military now aiming to finally regain control of the whole city. And to achieve that, the bombardment from the air by Syrian and Russian planes has been particularly intense, with allegations bunker-buster bombs are now being used. Today, the Foreign Secretary has accused the Russians of prolonging the war.
There's one thing that the Russians respond to, and that is the idea that it is they who are in the dock in the Court of International Opinion. They are guilty of protracting this war, of making it far more hideous.
And there are still many questions about who is responsible for attacking this UN aid convoy last Monday, which was carrying food and medical supplies for thousands of civilians in urgent need of help in Aleppo. Again, the Foreign Secretary pointed the finger of blame at Russia.
We should be looking at whether or not that targeting is done in the knowledge that those are wholly innocent civilian targets. That is a war crime.
But Russia strongly denies it was involved in the attack and released this drone footage of the convoy before it was hit, saying rebel forces could be seen next to it and alleging they may have been responsible. The incident has already led to very angry exchanges at the United Nations Security Council, with the US Secretary of State pouring scorn on what he said was a series of different explanations given by the Russian officials.
The damage to the convoy was the direct result of the cargo catching fire. The trucks and the food and the medicine just spontaneously combusted.
It's in this toxic atmosphere that members of the UN Security Council will meet again this afternoon to discuss the ever-deepening Syrian crisis. Richard Galpin, BBC News.
And Richard is with me now. It's a very serious accusation for a British Foreign Secretary to make, to say the Russians are guilty of war crimes.
It's hugely serious, absolutely. And of course the Russians will continue to deny it. But it means that that whole atmosphere in this meeting later today of the UN Security Council is going to be very, very toxic, as I was saying in the report. And I think it's, at the moment, it feels, very difficult. It's very difficult to imagine that anything can actually come out of it. But of course, what they'll be trying to do is trying to talk about the possibility again of some kind of ceasefire. That is obviously the absolutely urgent need now, is to stop the fighting and allow aid convoys to go in. On the other hand, though, we have heard from the Syrian government last week that they intend this to be the all-out offensive to try and retake the whole of Aleppo. So they seem set, or certainly the Syrian military, backed by the Russians, seem set on a very clear course, which is to gain control of the whole of this absolutely key city of Aleppo.
Richard, thank you.